Democrats are now faced with the question of what to do moving forward. Embrace the shameless legacy of their FAA vote and attempt a piecemeal dismantling of the sequester, or stand firm against any and all future exemptions and let the real impacts of austerity set in with hopes of eliminating the whole destructive experiment. Joining me tonight from California, Democratic Congresswoman Karen Bass. She advocates full-scale repeal of sequestration, right now is supporting efforts to repeal some of the cuts. Congresswoman, thank you for joining me. And my question to you is a strategic one, which is, what is the game plan here? There is a lot of buzz on Friday afterwards that this was essentially a kind of declaration of defeat for Democrats on the sequester. If you can repeal the things that are inconvenient for the powerful, then what does that mean for the rest of people? And if you start piecemeal repealing individual parts of it, what is the long-term strategy towards actually getting rid of the whole thing?
Well, let me just tell you, I agree with you, and especially with Chris Van Hollen 100%. I know a number of us had concerns on Friday's vote, and not so much from the flight delay, but more from the flight safety perspective. But you're absolutely right. We cannot give in to this. Sequestration needs to be repealed completely. I was out walking door to door talking to my constituents today, and let me just tell you, I met with a group of seniors who told me they're very worried about Meals on Wheels because that's their basic best meal that they have in a day. And so one of the things that Speaker Boehner and the Republicans have been saying for the last couple of years is for the Senate to pass a budget. The Senate has passed a budget, and so he now needs to call for the conference committee where the Senate has passed a budget, the House has passed a budget. We need to come to the table. That way we can get rid of sequestration and pass a budget that is reasonable.
So that's, from what I'm hearing from you, the strategy is the demand to get a conference committee to actually get a budget that both houses can agree to as the replacement for sequester.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. That's the only responsible way to deal with this. We can't take the piecemeal approach.
Can I ask you a question? You were knocking on doors today.
Yes.
Were you hearing about this FAA vote at the door? Do people know about it? Were people riled up about it?
No, to be honest with you, they weren't. I'll tell you what they were riled up about.
Please.
They were riled up about Medicare. They were riled up about the Meals on Wheels and Head Starts, because I talked to a lot of moms today, and they essentially are in a panic. They don't want to lose their jobs. Well, if they don't have child care, they're going to wind up losing their jobs. And that's what Head Start, that's the role that it plays. In addition to educating our children before they get to kindergarten, it's also a way that the parents can go to work.
John McCain said this weekend that the Congress, after being part of the unanimous consent that came from the Senate for the FAA deal, I can't say he voted for it because no one in the Senate was willing to be courageous enough to actually vote on the record for it. It was a unanimous consent. And Senator John McCain had this to say about the priorities in Congress, which I thought were pretty interesting. Take a listen.
I think we have our priorities a little bit skewed here. Look, I'm for giving the FAA flexibility, but I also want to give the military flexibility, and I don't want the sequestration cuts to be as steep as they are on national defense.
What's your response to the move we're going to see to start getting the defense sector out of the bind of sequester?
Well, see, I think there you have it. I mean, I think he reveals the real concern that the Republicans have. In fact, Paul Ryan, in his budget, has talked about completely protecting defense. If it was to continue on a piecemeal fashion, I can guarantee you the pieces they would put up wouldn't be Head Start. It wouldn't be health care. It also wouldn't be Meals on Wheels. Right. And it's going to come down to really, this is a way to get at what the real agenda is, which is the Republicans are fine with sequestration, except for as it hits defense. They want it to hit health and human services.
So here's my question. You voted aye, I believe, on the FAA
I did.
bill. You did. But you said right now you're agreeing with Chris Van Hollen. So my question for you is, are you saying now you're not going to vote for any more piecemeal repeals?
What I'm telling you now is that I am going to support the ranking member on the Budget Committee that says the piecemeal approach won't work. And as a matter of fact, it's a very dangerous way to allow the Republicans to get at their real agenda, which is to protect defense. My concern on Friday was for air safety. So I think Chris Van Hollen is absolutely right.
That's Congresswoman Karen Bass. You heard it here on national television. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.